Welcome to Kathy D. Slat's SRC for You Zoom call for August 12, 2021. We're here on Kathy D. Slat's website, kathydslat.com, where we will scroll down and we'll look for the Zoom banner. Now this is a demonstration of the SRC for You software where she has her client base. If you would like to be part of her client base, you can click here, and it is a monthly fee. To access the Zoom call, we're going to click where it says click here, and it's going to take us over to the Zoom platform where we will allow, and the call will be in progress. We'll join with computer audio.
I had someone join the energy group over the weekend, and what I do every morning is scan. We do the group work, but I also scan the group to see if any individual needs over and above that. And you will see that there will always be a few. And the person who had just joined every day wanted extra energy, and I was just getting ready to call her yesterday when she texted me and was quite ill and suspected it might be corona. And I wanted to know if she should get the test. Well, of course, I'm going to say, you know, if you're inclined to get the test, get it. But this is another one that Annie had told us about. This is a powerful antiviral. And you can also send this energetically if you can't get your hands on this. I began to do that in the sustenance balancer. She resonated very highly with receiving it that way. And I did get a text last night that her headache was gone and she was feeling a lot better. Also, my daughter, turns out, has a mouth infection, which can be very serious. I tested her for priority for Chi, and it was 100% for her to receive it through the supercharger. So I'll send this code out. When I first heard about it, there was no code, and I was working with the image, but I tested, and if the code is more powerful than the image in my software. Maybe yours will be different, but if we go in here, I want to show you before we get started. I'm going to send out a list of pesticides that you may want to scan at different times. We don't have a priority for our work to do it, so we're not. So I'm going to clear that, but you'll have the list to work with as you want to. Let's see if we want to receive this code for this antiviral today. Oh, well, never mind. Let's do it again. And people really are also having a lot of success with the nebulizers. Okay, so we don't need this as a group, but you'll have the code. And this is
what?
Sorry. Yeah, what?
Sorry. What did you say? Put that in, Kathy? Run it in.
I've been doing it in the sustenance balancer, but if you test, you can. I saw, for example, my daughter 100% benefit to receive it through the supercharger. I think she wanted 8 hours.
Okay.
But very often, even just the P4, you don't necessarily. What you can do is put it in the P4. And if you get a 98 or 99 or get a priority, you can always send it through Shin, or you can charge it, or you can do the 3 times, 6 times, or 9 times.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of different ways you can go. It's just, it goes back to this being really a platform that you can use any way you want. I'm almost hesitant to show some of these ideas because these ideas are very limited. There's so much more we can do. So, but anyway, I started looking at the pesticide situation. And, you know, here's the thing. We have between 50 and 70 trillion cells equipped to do anything we need them to do. And, yeah, we're exposed to pesticides. They're in our air, our water, our foods. And when you study up on this, you see you sure do want to go organic. But you're going to want to look at your water supply for sure. But at the same time, remember remember that we're equipped to handle these things. We don't need to freak out. Does that make sense? Anybody?
Yes.
But here's what has happened. First of all, it's almost like all our pharmaceutical drugs. It turns out that we could treat the soil and not need the pesticides as often, because the pests are only going to go to where they thrive. And there are some things we could do other than these chemicals that wouldn't hurt anybody. They would help the ecosystem, etc. But there is huge money, I mean huge, in the pesticides. And we have some great activism work here in this country to remove certain ones. But the bad news is that these corporations that make so much money on these pesticides are going to the third world countries.
Oh, no.
Yes, and I'm going to just give you a few codes I pulled up. This is nowhere near all the information I saw, but particularly in our third world countries, not to mention, to this point over here, depending on what people are eating, obviously. Here are some of the codes I pulled up. We're just going to do a scan in a minute and see if any of these are a priority. This is a huge one right here, this glyphosate. Of course, here's a positive. Let's decrease the use of pesticides. Let's end the widespread damage to the ecosystem. Let's have some safety measures. Here are a few more things that are connected to the use of pesticides, but who's really getting hit in particular are the third world countries. And what happens over there, and this I'm just going to brainstorm. This may be why we have certain situations where the corporations seem to be in charge, and they seem to be aided by our government. And this, by the way, is the definition of fascism, where the corporate and the government get together. What we see in these third world countries is that when those who understood what was happening came out and tried to publicize it, they were censored. This is why censorship can be such a concern. In one country, and it starts with a K, I can't think of the name of it right now, there was this aerosol spraying of the cashews, the cashew crops, and they began to see terrible birth defects and many, many other things, the codes of which I have listed in here. And what happened is the police actually came and forced them these pesticides. Great damage was done to the people. So we're all one. And it's one thing to get these things, in America perhaps, and we're not even sure, they're just not named something other than what we know them as. But we have to look elsewhere and see what may be happening and do your own study. And, talk about science. They say that's the true definition of science. You take something you don't believe and you study to prove your point. But if things come up, different from your belief, you at least look at them. And that's your true definition of science. And particularly in these third world countries, when scientists tried to speak up, they were censored. Studies weren't funded, etc. And it's just worth being aware of, keeping in mind that we are miraculous beings. Nothing can really hurt us if we have the awareness. But if you come up to a situation where you're getting all these pharmaceuticals, all these pesticides, and who knows what else, it can add up on you a little bit. And that's what we don't want. Let's just look in here.
And to quote Rachel Carson with Silent Springs, it's the same chemical, just a different brand name, and it's called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson.
Yeah, that book is on Scribe. But you're still going to hear people that say this is all nonsense. I take a 2-mile walk every day with, I call her She Who Knows All. It's my daughter. And she thinks this pesticide stuff, that's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. So whatever. Now here, let's just see. I just did a quick scan for the group. Let's go in here. she acknowledges, oh yeah, buy organic, but blah, blah, blah. And everybody is entitled to that. They're entitled to their own belief system. I just want to be entitled to mine.
Right.
Well, we'll just look at the stress here. We're going to add it, but I'd like to see the level of priority. Okay, so remember, and Kevin can elaborate on this, I'm sure, but we're working with our blueprint. So a lot of things, these are not in the physical form. They're in the blueprint, and if you do this consistently, you can clear this. Leukemia. And a lot of these things, as we go down the list, you're going to see there's no question it's a rise in all these things. So I know I've been a little careless with buying organic. I'm going to really step it up.
We do have a gardening enhancement saved session.
We sure do. And this would be a wonderful time to start doing a little gardening. That's a priority, this in reference to our blood. Again, it doesn't mean this is a diagnosis. It means the stress is there. These pesticides do go into our blood, and also for nursing mothers, they go into the breast milk. Let's just go ahead and add that.
I was running indigo yesterday after many months. I owe you one, Kathy. And pesticides was coming up.
Really? So here's the glyphosate poisoning, and we're all familiar with this. I don't even need to talk about it. Let's just go in here. We're going to, again, I'm dowsing these in. I just want, if they're under 1,000, I just want to see where we are with that. That's significant. Significant priority. The big culprit seems to be wheat. You almost can't get any kind of wheat that's not loaded with pesticides. And in talking with Grandmaster a couple of weeks ago, he says switch to millet. And millet apparently is very nutritious, and you're not getting all this.
I've also heard spelt, S-P-E-L-T.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, thank you.
Quinoa, did he mention?
Of July, eating only quinoa as a detox. And a boy, his friend Emily, a little sample of what she made, and told her she should have a cookbook. So I came home and made a little something. It was terrible. So I don't know what she did.
I would take Emma's recipe if you can get it.
I asked her for it, and I haven't gotten it yet, but I sure want it.
Yeah, I dumped out some yesterday. I made it. It didn't come out too well either.
How do you spell that?
Q-U-I-O-N-A. It's got an N in it, so it's Q-U-I-N. Isn't it? Q-U-I-N-O-N-A, I believe.
No, Q-U-I-N-O-A.
O-A-A, yeah.
And Emily was saying that whatever you're making, the quinoa will take on the flavor of whatever you're cooking.
It was delicious and highly nutritious. So it seems that just with a few changes, maybe making it a priority to buy organic in terms of produce, et cetera, and I'm going to show you another idea in a minute. There is no problem that can't be solved, to be aware of it, and especially, I think, to speak up for others. Now, this is, again, we're taking this code, and the children are the ones that are most impacted, obviously, because of their size. And look at what so often we're giving them, all the junk. And this brings up, I want to bring up another thing, though, is some of the things we're seeing in America as far as how we're treating our children. And I was listening to something last night, and some woman mentioned when her daughter got up, her 2-year-old, and she gave her breakfast, and they said, "What'd you give her?" She said, "Cookies." So these are some things, we need to be aware of as to what's happening. Cerebral palsy, again, we're taking the code. It's not as if it's a diagnosis, but there's a stress related to it, so let's put it in. We are working with a group.
Excuse me, would you tell me the name of the grain that Grandmaster said to switch to?
Millet.
Millet, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
When Gavin's girls came to live with us, and I was getting into the school system and then later church, the thing that horrified me the most is most families do not know how to cook, and that's why they use the fast food and all these other avenues.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you give it a thought, and if you watch TV and see the advertisements, and what it said in the Zach Bush presentation, 68% of the advertisements are from the pharmaceutical industry. All the rest are for the foods, the beverages, etc. And if it's true that within 30 seconds of watching TV you're in a trance, then obviously you're going to have some real food cravings, but especially your children watching this stuff.
Cracked macaroni and cheese, which is a favorite for all kids and adults, they cannot sell it in Europe because of the contents, but they sell it with the contents that they can't sell in Europe. They sell it here in this country.
Yes, in the book Food Babe, she talks quite a bit about that. And that's right. Europe is very much opposed to the GMO and all the chemicals in the food.
And they sell it so cheap that you see people have it, boxes and boxes and boxes of it in their carts at the store, like $3 for $1 or something like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
And you will find some people that say, well, this is all for the food supply. We want to make sure that we always have enough food. I'm not saying these people are purposely trying to injure us. They have a belief system, and we all have belief systems. But if you go on, I kind of got onto a rant here at the end. One of the things that happened with the all of the television, et cetera, is our family units. And that might be why some of us are eating the way we are. Our family units are not complete, and there's a lot of stress, et cetera, et cetera. So I put a code in here for reconstruct. Particular codes, and that is in the list you'll receive if you want to play around with them. But and again, it's all subtle information, but it gets you to thinking. And for example, there's that creative thinking. This group didn't need any reinforcement on that today, but that may be what happened. So I got to fooling around, and I thought, medical I Ching might help. So I went into the iFate and said, what would be the outcome of using the SR to clear stress into pesticides? And this was an unusual response. I understand it. We're to contemplate it. We're to meditate on it. The Rock 20 is a tower that looks out over this, and an example being set for others. This is a time to reflect carefully on what has gone before and happening now in a broader sense. Decisions made at this time will be witnessed by many. And then the moving lines peering from a doorway. Again, look into it. Give it that events have forced one's thinking into a small perspective, break away from limited perspectives. Could it be that we could do a little clearing on a regular basis with some of our software? And then the second moving line between forward and backward, I'm going to go back and forth a little. You could go backwards and just continue the direction we have. You could step forward. There's no judgment made either way. And again, so it's saying meditate on it and look into it, learn more. And that changes it to go off 50 seconds. this down so we can read it. Like gentle wind wafting through a village, this hexagram suggests a time of influence and change, a time when clarity and truth can pierce through veils of illusion. Through earnestness and quiet peace, you can penetrate the hearts of those around you and spread goodwill and prosperity. Now is the time to speak up and let your voice permeate the land. Communicate your wants and needs, etc. Gentle but continual. In other words, we're not against anything. We are for. So just for the heck of it, let's go in.
I just got a text message from my granddaughter in Florida, and her best friend has COVID with diarrhea and throwing up. What have y'all used or heard works for that part of it? I haven't heard much about how to treat that. Would you still go with ivermectin?
Phyllis, I got a great text from someone yesterday that did a couple of things that cleared all that type of thing. I'll text it to you, and maybe I'll just go ahead and text it to everybody and just delete it. I don't know how to get it on the email. Maybe I can text it to Joanna and she can get it on the email. Is that possible, Joanna? I don't know if she can hear us.
Yes.
If I send you a text, are you able to convert it into the email?
Yes.
Wonderful. Then we'll put it with this other information. Look at this.
Thank you.
It was very encouraging. And and this is the thing that, again, 100th time probably I'm saying it, there is a solution to everything. And our software might be part of that solution. It may be, and this is not the only software out there, obviously, but it may be that all this has come along at this time for these purposes. Look at this, priority for Chi, clear stress related to pesticides via recharger, 91% at this moment in time. So let's go into the recharger.
If I could interject,
sure.
More and more is being brought to me with regards to this injection that everyone's taking. It's actually a program, and if you go out onto anewsreporter.com, it's anewsreporter.com, and just even if you just scan through the information, you'll see that this has been in the making, and something happened yesterday at 2 o'clock, which we didn't participate in, but so when Grandmaster says that the SRC can help us with regards to using the software, I'm of that belief system.
Yesterday at 2 p.m., supposedly there was a gigantic download to our cell phones unless they were turned off. And I don't know who sent that to me right at this moment, maybe Kathy. But okay. I left mine off for 4 hours and I took out the battery as well.
Okay, the iPhone blocked. If you had an iPhone, they blocked that download.
Well, I was given one, but I haven't figured out how to set it up just yet.
And the other thing is that I read this morning is not many got that emergency broadcast message, and that there is speculation that was actually a white hat procedure in order to see how effective that would be and who was participating on the media side and who was not.
Wow, I didn't hear that at all. I don't even know what the message would have been. Wow.
I don't know what it was either. I did turn my phone off, but that's the information that I read this morning, that it was an operation just for gathering information to see who was participating in delivering that and who was not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, look here at the length of time we're asking to clear pesticides, 23 hours. So let's do it. And then, but also remember this thing about fear. We got to be on top of that. It's one thing to have information, but we don't want dysfunctional fear, and that might be all fear. Obviously, we have to have awareness. The old example I like to give is you see the truck coming, so you just don't step in front of it. And so again, I'm doing this every day this week. Clear dysfunctional fear from the root chakra. And we're asking, yesterday we just wanted 7 minutes, but today we're looking at 14 hours. So, you know, even though we have this information, we want to make sure we just accept it calmly. And does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And we don't want fear. Totally shuts down our voltage. And then also, I think y'all know this in this group, but remember, we have a bunch of cocktails in the manual. The one I sent y'all is not really out yet, but you have the list. And I did go ahead and add it in here for those who don't. But we have 37 cocktails for the heart in there. And so let's just look and see if we are interested in any of them. No, we don't need one today. But what you'll see when you go in, and let's just take advantage of this incredible upgrade we have and hit the Wonder Click. And if heart comes up on different days when you're doing this work, go in and test. And I'll be doggone, it's our top thing. Look at that. It's still, so we're focused. We're focused on what we're supposed to be focused on. Let's see if it's a priority to do that heart scan today.
Interesting too, because I have arterial fibrillation.
Yeah, the heart information is definitely pertinent. You see, we don't need that. This is going to do the work that we need to have, and this is powerful. This upgrade, and so there's no use to add these things if we don't need. There's large intestine again, spiritual. Let's just look in here, and again, just go about it this way, at least your way. But this is the way I like to go about it.
Yes.
So just about anything you can think of, we now have a cocktail in it. Go ahead, Joanna.
Day before yesterday, we were at Walmart and we were talking with a lady. We just made this like connection, and I was trying to figure out, well, why are we talking? And she sleeps with her head next to what's called a smart meter. And I asked her, I said, do you have any heart issues or anything like that? Well, she has what's called like atrial fib. So I sent her over to smartmeterarmor.com, and she's going to get back with me to see if basically making like a Faraday cage to keep the energy within the smart meter will help her as well. So if you have a smart meter, you know, please look into that, because I know for a fact that when they put it on my mom's house, that's basically what got my dad and then also my mom. So just wanted to put that out there.
Same thing with my brother and his wife. They both got cancer. There was a whole bank of 10 smart meters at the end of their townhome. They were in an end unit. She died. He had surgery and he's okay. But I have a smart meter cover and it's on the outside, but I've heard it can come through the back wall. Is that true?
Yeah, and into the electrical system.
What is a smart meter?
It's like a digital meter that the electric company puts on your house. And then when Gwen, which I thought was quite interesting, as you walk into her front door, there's another door to the right. And I don't know why I opened it, but I took a video of it, and there was a whole bank of smart meters right next to Gwen's apartment. I mean,
yeah, like, that was the laundry room.
Yeah.
So how do you know? I live in an apartment.
It's just about awareness, Ron. There's plenty you can do to protect yourself. But it's when, I'll tell you, in my case, it's been a few years back, my blood pressure skyrocketed. And I had to even go to the doctor and for 1 month go on medication. You know, you don't fool with blood pressure.
Yeah, because my doctor just put me on Eliquis.
Okay. Well, what happened is someone mentioned this smart meter thing. I tend to be a bit of a skeptic on a bunch of this stuff, but I called Duke Energy and they said, oh, yes, you have a smart meter. And I said, I need it off because I do know my energy because I'm doing this SRC every day. I need that off. They said, we don't do that. And the smart meter actually sends out less energy than the old meter. I knew that wasn't true, but I was able to clear it. I'm not on medication now. Once I had the information, I just went in and cleared that stress. So it's not, there's some things we may have to live with, but we can then, I think that's why I think everybody needs this kind of work, this kind of stress management. We want a cocktail in reference to spiritual, and we sure have those too. So let's just look in here. But that's why if we kind of look at this, if you can possibly look at this as a wonderful time, because people are learning some things they might not have learned otherwise.
I agree.
Well, let's just go and see if there is any that I need to. Can you all see that? Make it a little bigger.
Oh, yes, that was fine.
Yes, plenty big.
Okay, now I have to go backwards. That was a long one. Stimulates the balance of spiritual well-being. So let's put that in there. That's under 1,000. So I'll put it down here. Well, I may have to call Kevin and add from my other computer some of this. And if you have time today, Kevin, with all this other that you're doing.
I'll help.
Thank you, because I think I have a bunch of these on the other computer and need to go ahead and switch them off. But let me show you what's involved. We want to stimulate the balance of spiritual well-being. Activate 7 chakras via meditation. We actually have an image for that. Let's see if we've got that one in here. I didn't realize I didn't have all these until just now. Well, I do the majority of my work on the other. Oh boy. Yeah, so I think if Kevin has time today, we'll have to add those in. Yeah. There we go. Those are the 2. So no problem in doing that as far as adding them. I'm going to take this off, and then I'll put the list in here that we scanned. So if you don't have this. And we go down. There's that soul systems again, which according to Neville Goddard is the ability to choose. And in order to choose, you've got to have information. The other thing, anti-aging, from what the Zach Bush webinar said, the minute you start to take statins, you begin to age ahead of schedule. Again, do your own research. There's heart again.
Yeah, I'm taking statin now.
According to him, you might want to listen to that webinar, and according to him, if you get off the statins, you don't want to, if your doctor says take statins, get a different doctor. And he says the repair work in reference to whatever the statins may have done is CoQ10. Then look your things up for yourself. Let's see what we've got here. So just excessive. Interesting. Obstruction. Let's look at stress related to the pineal, because we are taking in a lot of information with the world as it is. That it would be nice to have some help in processing. Third eye. Well, not a little stress there at this moment in time. So we're going to do the issue solver today, which we can go ahead and, but let's also do the light panel. That seems appropriate. Go ahead and add heart. And actually, you can add all of these things that came up to 10, obviously. Take a look at the aura as well. Stomach. Connects very much with the brain, so let's see what's going on. This right here, they say, is the whole deal. The Chinese call it qi, life force. Defensive. Indulgent. That's an interesting concept. Let's look at that. Again, not a huge number, but go ahead and put it in the Nagong. So that's significant. Kevin, I think you said one time this, in your opinion, this issue solver may be our most powerful pro tool. Is that right?
It's incredible, the range of things that it does, the spectrum that you can't see, but it's in the programming. It's astounding.
Yep. It's interesting, our words to ponder. I hope I didn't brain my damage. So on a subconscious level, maybe this pesticide stuff, over-concerned. We're built to handle anything, in my opinion. But again, the awareness, and they also, have something called the perfect storm, which is where it's just all together. It's too much.
I wonder if there's a code for perfect storm.
That's a good idea. I will lose y'all, if I hop around. Anybody able to look? We don't want a perfect storm, though. We want to prevent the perfect storm.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but there might be one for a code for preventing.
Exactly. Yes. If you're able to look, that would be wonderful.
I'm on my phone and I can't look right now.
I'll play around with it a little bit later today, unless anybody else can look.
I can look.
Yay.
No, there's nothing under it, but I put it in, so maybe tomorrow.
They are wonderful like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Interesting. That was one of the heart acupoint things, is if the energy wasn't flowing, a person was more susceptible to fright, of all things. So again, so many of these things we believe are emotional may actually, it's quite a cycle. They could be physical. But I think that's what the Chinese say. They say all these emotions generate from the organs. Oh, inner peace looks pretty good. possible that what we look at as information from our doctors could turn out to be, erroneous. That's a confliction. And none of this is about not trusting the doctors, but rather questioning everything. And so there is some stress related to that for many of us. And when the more misinformation you become aware of, the more conflicted you may be. There's a pericardium.